Did you know Iran launched ballistic missiles at Israel, and Trump said Netanyahu will have no choice but to accept a U.S.-Iran deal?
Today's most volatile Trump foreign policy story. Iran launched about 10 ballistic missiles at northern Israel after Israeli strikes in Beirut's southern suburbs, shattering a fragile ceasefire and raising the risk of a wider regional war. Reporting describes this as the most serious escalation since April's ceasefire arrangement began to fray. The Guardian says the missiles were intercepted or landed in uninhabited areas, and that Iran's Revolutionary Guard framed the attack as the beginning of an expanded offensive involving missiles and drones over the coming week. What makes this a Trump story is not only the exchange of fire, but how Trump is publicly positioning himself as the gatekeeper of the next diplomatic step. In reporting today, Trump told Israel's prime minister that he should not retaliate, while simultaneously asserting that Netanyahu won't have any choice but to accept the U.S. terms for an Iran peace deal. That's a very unusual posture in alliance politics. Traditionally, U.S. presidents aim to coordinate privately with Israel on red lines and response options. Here, Trump's approach is public and forceful. He is telling the Israeli leader to stop, and he is telling the public that Israel must accept whatever Washington negotiates. Supporters argue this is exactly what strong leadership looks like, a U.S. president using leverage to prevent a spiral into a larger war, while pushing an adversary toward a deal. Critics argue it risks damaging the credibility of the U.S.-Israel alliance by framing Israel as subordinate to American decision-making. This is where today's story becomes bigger than missiles. It becomes a question of who controls escalation and who controls diplomacy. There are immediate strategic reasons Trump would want to contain escalation. A widening conflict can spike energy prices, destabilize regional partners, and consume U.S. military bandwidth. It also increases domestic political risk heading into the midterms, because war stories tend to pull attention away from domestic economic messaging. But there are also reasons Israel might feel compelled to respond. Israel's leadership faces pressure not to appear vulnerable, especially when missiles are launched. Iran's signaling, according to reporting, suggests it intends the action to be read as deterrence and escalation readiness. So what happens next depends on three clocks running at once: the military clock, the diplomatic clock, and the political clock. 1. The military clock. If Iran continues launching drones or missiles, Israel may escalate regardless of U.S. messaging. If Israel escalates further into Lebanon or against Iranian-linked assets, Iran could widen the response. 2. The diplomatic clock. Trump's team wants a deal timeline. Escalation narrows negotiation room by hardening positions and empowering hawks on all sides. 3. The political clock. Trump is trying to show he can manage conflict while pursuing a negotiated settlement. Any perception of losing control or any major casualties reshapes the domestic story instantly. Trump's comments also carry an implicit warning. If Israel acts in a way that undermines the talks, the administration may reduce support or public alignment. That kind of tension has already been hinted at in today's reporting about blunt exchanges between Trump and Netanyahu. What to watch next? Does Israel retaliate after Trump's public warning? Does Iran follow through on its stated week-long offensive posture? Do U.S. negotiators produce any visible deal milestone that changes the narrative from war to peace process?